El Salvador. For a long time, that name came with warnings, headlines, stories you didn't want to be a part of. But that's not the whole story. Not anymore. You can feel it the moment you cross the border. Something's different here. It's not perfect, not polished, but something is changing. This is the smallest country in Central America, about the size of Massachusetts. But it doesn't feel small. It feels like a world of its own. From the mountains to the sea, it packs more beauty per square mile than most places could dream of. We drove here from Guatemala following the Pan American Highway South. No real plan, just curiosity and a camera. By the way, I'm Chris, this is Sarah, and we can't forget Kramer. And welcome to El Salvador. We can't wait to show you around. And thanks to Saley for partnering with us on this video. Welcome to El Salvador. So we finally crossed into El Salvador yesterday from Guatemala.
You make me so nervous when you talk and walk on cobblestones at the same time.
Well, we're doing this. If you don't know, Central America has a ton of cobblestones, so I've gotten better at holding the camera and walking.
You have, but you make me nervous no matter what. Not because of you, just because I know I've twisted my ankle dozens of times now. Today we are starting with the Ruta De Las Flores, which is the route of flowers.
So think of this route as the fruit loop, like you know in Oregon, where you can go around to these different places. Orchards, breweries, everything. This is sort of their same version of the fruit loop.
This route, I really want to do it. I heard it was supposed to be really beautiful, but it is sort of like in the northern region, so it's one of the first things we're going to do in El Salvador, or the first thing. And it's just this, 20-mile-ish route through like the mountains of El Salvador, and it's known for all the flowers. So they say it's best in the spring, but I mean, it's green here year round because it's very tropical. And we just driving the first few miles have already seen tons of beautiful flowers. The towns are really nice and quaint, and that's sort of what the whole day is gonna be. So this is the first stop. We had to get some coffee and some breakfast. Just found my feet, now I'm running like wind. So this little cafe we found, it's an artist cafe, but they have coffee and they have breakfast. But I like because they have all these different artists display their art in here, and it's for sale. So they give an opportunity to let local artists make money off their work, which is really nice. And they're all Salvadorian. They have little bios about each of the different people. I see you can purchase art, and they're well priced. Yeah, it's just a cool experience to see some local people's takes on where they're from, because a lot of it is very local inspired.
We're starting off with a little bit of breakfast. Sarah got the traditional breakfast, which is eggs, plantains, beans, some bread, and I got French toast because you can't go wrong with French toast. So we're gonna finish up this and get on to driving some more.
Like a fine wine, we're getting old now. There's beard on my face, white as snow. Will you still call when it gets cold out? I promise you this, I'll always come home. Call it the summer of us, 'cause we chase the sun like there was no fall.
They're really cool, whatever they are. I don't think I've ever seen a tree like this. But it's growing like out of these pods, like all these different vines, and they almost feel like a succulent plant or something. But then you look up the tree and then they get bigger and rounder, and then eventually they turn dark, almost look like little cranberries or something. So if anybody knows what this is, let me know. My phone is not identifying it. You know how your phone's supposed to be able to identify flowers? It's not doing it. Oh well. I'm just gonna look him off. Feels really cool though. Probably be a good back scratcher. So in Latin America, I guess a lot of the world, but Latin America, one thing we have learned is that Sunday is the day to get out and about town. Usually you see a lot of families. It's a market day. People come out and they'll go to mass. So the church is right down the street, and they notice they have 5 mass services, so they're moving people through. And then people come out here and they get their breakfast or lunch or a drink because they have full service bars that are open at 10:30 in the morning. Actually, they've probably been open for a while, but people are drinking at 10:30. We got coffee. We're a little slower to start our days.
We found a nice coffee shop like we always do. It's called Bloom Coffee. It's right here in the middle of this main square. We've only been in El Salvador for 24 hours, but the people here have already been so nice. It's like almost like a night and day difference. I hate to say that, but we crossed in from Guatemala. We had nice experiences there, but here in El Salvador, everybody has been so hospitable and like welcoming and just like smiley. So it's nice.
I'll say I was kind of nervous coming into El Salvador because when we're, a lot of the Latin American countries, kind of culturally, there is a lot of overlap, but there's also some differences in each of them. But one thing that I read about El Salvador compared to the other Latin American countries is that they are the most densely populated. It's the smallest of the countries in Central America, from what we understand. So I was kind of nervous about that, but I haven't felt like crowded or cramped yet, if that makes sense. Like, it's much more rural than I was expecting, which I have enjoyed that. Somebody said online that we were like Salvadorian people, similar to like the Brazilian people. We loved the people in Brazil. I think of the places I've been in this world, Brazil has the nicest, most hospitable people. But whoever told us online that Salvadorian people give them a run for their money was correct. I love cities and I love people, but sometimes we like to get away and we like to have our space and to find quieter places. It's not chaotic like I thought it was going to be. I was kind of worried it was just going to be like people everywhere. Like Guatemala City was just chaos to us. Like, it was probably the worst city experience I've ever had, and we were barely there. It was just the worst traffic I've ever driven in, and it was horrible. By the time I got out of it, I was just like stressed to the max. Guatemala redeemed itself. I loved Guatemala. But here, it's a little bit slower pace. The roads are in amazing condition, so when you're driving an 88 truck that's not necessarily that comfortable to drive, having good roads makes a difference.
One of the trickiest parts about driving the Pan American is always staying connected, not having to deal with all these other SIM cards or bad service. And before we crossed into El Salvador, I actually set up Saley, so I don't even have to think about that anymore. Saley is a new eSIM service app brought to you by our friends and the creators of NordVPN, Nord Security. It works in over 200 countries, which means wherever you go, you're pretty much good to go. You don't have to search for Wi-Fi. You don't have to stand in line at a kiosk to get your SIM card. You have instant connection for Google Maps, trying to find a place to stay, or just letting your family know that you made it. You have instant internet wherever you go once you install it. It's super simple. Just go to the App Store, download Saley to your phone, pick a plan that's right for you, and go ahead and enter this code at the checkout to get your discount. If you travel like us, or maybe you don't and you're just planning a vacation, get Saley. It does make your life easier, and you get 15% off when you use our code Chris and Sarah with no H, at the checkout. Thank you, Saley, for partnering with us on this video. Remember, click the link down below and use the promo code to get your discount. All right, let's go.
Funny story. We got in an Uber and we had requested to go to the Mercado down here because we were going to do sort of like a food tour, street food thing. But we got in the car and the Uber driver was like, no, you need to go to the library.
The library. Of all the horrifying, miserable things in the world.
And we're like, okay, we'll go to the library too. And then he dropped us off at the library and we're like 4 blocks from the market, which isn't that far, but he just like changed our plans for us. But apparently Jose knew right, because the library was really well done. It looks brand new, and I love that there's people just in there like hanging out and using it. They have Lego stations, they have different themes of like Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter and Star Wars and comics.
This is by far the coolest library I've ever been in. Look at all this Star Wars stuff. They have this entire section dedicated to Harry Potter, and then they have an entire section for comic books, and then Game of Thrones, and then Star Wars. And they've taken every book and it's here on the shelves, but then they've decorated and have these statues, and it's this is such a cool library. It brings a smile to my face.
This country is doing so much for its people, from what I can tell, and I am so impressed. The roads have been amazing, the library is amazing. You can tell they're investing in education and helping the people, and I love to see that. So we're gonna go see what else we can find. Let's go. pupusas. We ordered one beans and cheese pupusa and then one jalapeno pupusa.
Pupusas are one of my favorite foods ever. It's my love language. Gracias. I love pupusas. If you've never had pupusas before, they're essentially tortillas, and then they stuff them with meat or beans or cheese, and then they just kind of fry it.
Oh, it's so good. Like, I wouldn't say they're healthy, but they're good. Like, I usually just get plain cheese pupusas, but I went for beans and cheese today and jalapenos. I like a jalapeno something or other. I like a little kick every now and then. But I'm interested in knowing, like, what are all of these? I've never seen this on a table. It looks almost like a coleslaw with sauce in it, and then it looks like this is probably a hot sauce, and this has got jalapenos in it. So I'm not really sure. So just to give you an idea of how expensive it is, the beans and cheese pupusa is 65 cents, and the jalapeno one is $1.25. So, fun fact about El Salvador, the US dollar is the official currency, or one of the official currencies. So they use American bills, but they have their own set of coins, which is a little confusing to me. But it makes the conversion rate in your head really easy because you don't have to convert if you're American. It's just 65 cents.
They also take Bitcoin, which we have none of.
I'm trying to open it up so it'll like air out because it's so hot. Like this came right off the grill. It's still too hot. That is a corn pastry with beans and cheese inside that's fried. A little vinegar. Yeah, it's like slaw. That's good. I'm not gonna get much done after eating this today.
So I've never actually put slaw on a pupusa before, but it's very good. It contrasts the like corn tortilla feel, almost like a sweet, salty add to it, which is really nice because it can be a little daunting eating a bunch of beans and cheese inside a tortilla, and so it gives it just a little bit of a kick, which I don't mind.
Daunting.
I don't need light, if only you just come my way. Even the long night can't help but feel your rays. If it's alright.
Definitely a lot of Americans and Europeans surfing here right now. A lot of locals too, but definitely found where everybody's coming in El Salvador. They're right here.
You guys have asked for it. We're giving it to you. Kramer cam, but he's not happy about it.
This one is too big.
Full disclosure, I'm not sure how good Kramer cam's gonna be. He's an athlete in the heart. He's got a lot of heart. Clear eyes, full hearts can't lose. But he's not, physically he's not a great athlete. The water here is so very warm.
I don't think I've ever felt the Pacific that warm. Kramer! Wait.
I was fine just a minute ago. Now something else is in control. What could go wrong if I'm all inside my head again? You know, sometimes my mind is giving me a heart.
So we were trying to find a place to camp tonight, and we found this nice little older couple, and they said, you can camp here. And they live right on the ocean.
If I said too much, if that's not enough still, if I'm running from myself again, if I think too
When things like this happen, it's so nice. It doesn't happen often, but when it does happen, it stands out. El Salvador has just been so nice. The people here, I mean, forget the people that are letting us sleep at their house on the beach. Security guards, people that we meet out and about, whatever. The people of El Salvador have just been so nice. Right now, El Salvador, in my opinion, is probably one of the nicest of the Central American countries.
El Salvador. Isn't that crazy? We've gotten to drive through countries. That's so cool. I know to all of our European friends, they're like, that's not that big of a deal. When you come from a place where your country is as big as the US, and it takes days to get across one country, even some states, like it takes an entire day to get out of Texas. Driving through countries seems like a huge deal. Even though the country of El Salvador, I'm pretty sure, is about the same size as my home state, right? I don't know, I need to look that up. How big is El Salvador? It's the smallest of the Central American countries. All right, so next up we'll have Honduras. I'm a little bummed because all their flags look very similar. It's El Salvador and then Honduras and Nicaragua, and they're all like blue and white. Actually, Nicaragua and El Salvador's flags are like weirdly alike. I think they use the same graphic designer for that one. Maybe they need a rebrand. Maybe we should offer them a rebrand.
For behind the scenes and extra content, you can head on over to our Patreon community. Otherwise, be sure to follow on Instagram or like and subscribe here. It really helps creators like us.